Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Indigo Plateau, the podcast hosted by the Elite Four stream team. How's everyone doing today? We have a bunch of new friends.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Today, we are going to be discussing a very special topic. It is growing up with Pokemon. Our Pokemon journeys. We are all Pokemon trainers. You're a Pokemon trainer. You watching this. We all have our own journey, and today we're going to share a little bit of that with you guys. But you know, before we do anything else, I am dying to introduce everyone here. Let's start with Mr. Pokemon Cast in the upper right and work our way around. Was that clockwise? Let's go clockwise. I want everyone to share with the world why they're awesome.
What do you want from me? Age, sex, location?
Let's see. Your social. Your you know. Who the heck are you? What do you do? And what do you want people to know about you?
My name is Steve. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch. I stream Pokemon, as you can guess, part of the Elite Four. I also do a Pokemon podcast every Monday. That comes out on wherever you find podcasts. But yeah, I've been making Pokemon content for 9 years.
9 years, holy moly. All right, John.
I'm John. I mean, this is going to shock some people, but also a full-time Pokemon streamer and YouTuber. I don't get technology, so ignore everything that goes wrong on my side. I'm doing my best over here. But I mean, Pokemon-wise, we're going to talk about the journey and all of that. But what I do, kind of a jack of all trades, Pokemon-wise. There's not much I don't dislike, so you're going to see a variety of stuff if you come over. But other stuff to know about me, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of talking, a lot of sharing today. So I'll kind of just wait till then.
Exactly. You guys probably know who I am. I'm Josh, the 4th Gen Gamer. I do lots of Pokemon stuff, lots of YouTube and Twitch stuff, cut their Pokemon, a little bit of everything, a little bit of sugar spice, everything that's nice, and Simpsons hit and run speedruns. Pokemon challenges.
What's up, guys? I'm Jan.
Give me your motto.
Or PC.
You have the best motto ever. Or slogan.
Do I have a motto?
My name is Pokemon Challenges, and I do Pokemon Challenges.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Or usually I introduce myself by saying I'm Pokemon Challenges, and that's what I do on Twitch. I do the hardest Nuzlocke on Twitch. I do the hardest solo runs. If you're looking for extremely challenging playthroughs, then my channel is definitely worth checking out. How's it going?
The most genius marketing name ever. Pokemon Challenges. It's like it's so genius. Ella, do you own a cafe?
Yeah, I'm not as hard as Jan, but hi there. My name is Ella. I'm a part-time Twitch streamer. I've been doing Pokemon content for a long time, but now I'm doing more variety. So Pokemon and variety. I am doing Pokemon card paints as well. So I've been getting into the more creative endeavors lately. And yeah, my weird accent is because I'm from Germany. And we're all about comfy games. And I do very comfy streams here on Twitch. And having a lot of fun. I'm doing it for 3 years now. So yeah, that's all you gotta know.
They're incredibly comfy. I'm gonna really quickly just switch over to this image because I want to adjust just a quick thing. John, talk for a second.
John or Jan? Oh no, this is happening all over again.
John.
What do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to say to you?
What'd you have for breakfast?
What I have for breakfast? It's just an energy bar and some coffee. Nothing crazy. Nothing to blow your mind.
All right, fair enough. Yo, Steph, let me know if audio is all good. I just had to. It wasn't even John. I needed John as like the constant.
He just likes my voice. I get it. I'm not offended.
He has a very good voice. But yes, welcome in everyone. I'm so excited to have all you guys here and everyone that's in chat. Thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out with us. We do these podcasts every month and we have lots of different Pokemon people on it. And our goal is to talk about just all sorts of different things. We've talked about, Sword and Shield. We talked about burnout with content creation. We've talked about just like a little bit of everything. So today we're going to be talking about growing up with Pokemon. And of course, this is hosted by the Elite Four. If you guys don't know what the Elite Four is, !E4 if you're watching this on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, twitch.tv/team/elite4. This is the Pokemon stream team. We have an amazing group of people, and I highly encourage you guys to check out everyone on that list, and please go and check out everyone that is above me on the stream. We get shout out commands in the chat for everyone. They all do lots of different awesome Pokemon stuff and things that aren't Pokemon as well. And seriously, just an awesome group of people, both in the call and at that link. You guys gotta check things out. And we actually have some really cool events planned out in the next month or two. So keep an eye out. So make sure you guys do that. Check out the Elite Four stuff if you're into Pokemon Switch, or even if you're watching on YouTube and you want to just see, okay, who are all the awesome Pokemon streamers? Boom, go to that link. So a couple housekeeping things. If you're watching this on Twitch, just so you guys know, since this is sort of a podcast format, we won't be talking with chat too much. If we are, it'll be more so typing to you guys in chat. We will see you guys though. If you guys have questions for us, if you guys want to be interacting with us, all you have to do, if you can see in the upper right there, is tweet us questions at Elite4TV using the hashtag IP. That's how we'll be interacting with you guys in terms of like on the podcast, and we'll be answering those questions at the end. So be ready for that. Ask some good questions. We want to answer them, and we want to talk with you guys. But just know that we'll be talking with you guys in chat if that is the case. So either way, today we're going to be talking about our Pokemon journeys. We're going to be talking about the impact that Pokemon has had in our lives. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I just started playing like 2 months ago. It's a pretty cool game, you know. Pretty.
I don't think anyone 2 months ago was saying that. Oh man, Josh, let's move on to the big questions. What is this?
So I usually like to start these out by asking like a definition, or like just like a baseline. So I wanted to start by going around and asking everyone just straight up, how has Pokemon impacted your life? Just huge question. What has it done for you? Does anyone want to catch it?
I'll start. Okay. So I would say Pokemon's definitely like the most influential like cultural thing on my life. To the point where it was the game it was what got me into gaming, which is like the most prominent like hobby of my life and the most influential thing. And it got me into streaming, which is currently the thing I like dedicate most of my time to. So in both my childhood and my adult life, Pokemon has been insanely influential on how I spend my time and what I do.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. It's been absolutely crazy to think back, and I got the yellow edition back then, and I didn't even know what I was doing, and everything was weird, and there was this little yellow dude that was following you around, and just to like think about that. Now 20 years later, over 20 years later, we're still here, we're still enjoying this franchise, and it has brought so many important people into our lives as well. Is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, it's the craziest butterfly effect, because back then I think none of us would have gauged the effect it would have on our adult life. And I got partnered with Pokemon on Twitch, so Pokemon content was what I was doing all the time, and I found so many friends, so many important people. It's absolutely crazy.
Totally. Steve?
Yeah, Pokemon, I feel like I'm a broken record now repeating what you guys just said, but yeah, Pokemon has always been like the constant in my life. So it's like the thing I've liked the longest as a kid growing up. It's the thing that, you know, even if I fell out of for a month or two, or even a couple years when like Pokemon was that uncool thing when you hit middle school, like Pokemon was always the thing I kept coming back to, and it was my introduction into making and creating podcasts, and then obviously it led me to making content on Twitch. So I can't really think of like a single day where at this point where Pokemon hasn't directly affected me in my life.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon, I don't really have memories of not, having Pokemon in my life. It's, one of the first things I really did. Like, I mean, we'll get to the questions. When I first played, I couldn't really play. Like, my dad was playing, but it was kind of like, in a way to make it feel like I was doing something. And growing up, like, I remember it's not cool to like Pokemon in school, but I just was so unaware. I'd get the new Pokemon game. I wouldn't be going around school telling people I played Pokemon, but I'd be playing it. And I remember getting hit with that wave of realization of, oh my God, I don't have any friends that play Pokemon. It was just something I always loved. And like, it was something, when I started doing all this, it was one of a lot of negative things were going on, and it was there for me. And I got into the community, and it's just shaped everything I've done, Without this, I definitely would have, I still went to school, I still got a degree, but what I would be doing with my life would be a lot more straightforward. And it's allowed me to, figure out a job where I'm my boss and I can figure out what I want to do, year by year, rather than having like a 40, 50-year plan with my life. I can figure it out step by step. And I think that's the thing I appreciate most. It's given me a lot more flexibility to do what I love. So I think that's probably the biggest impact, along with just, we've all been playing it forever. So that's a constant.
Totally.
It's like interesting that you say that you weren't cool to play Pokemon at school, because I feel like I tried to be cool by playing Pokemon. Like, because I grew up with 3 brothers, and for me as the only girl, I always wanted to, do what my brothers did too, to be actually cool. Mm-hmm. And I got into Pokemon cards. I remember getting my first like holo cards, and everyone wanted to see them, and I felt like the king of the playground, really. So it was maybe a bit different for me, but yeah, that's interesting for sure.
I think it depends on what time period you talk about, right? I think in like primary school or grade school or whatever, it was generally extremely cool to play Pokemon. And then as you got into like middle school-ish, I want to say, for me this was around the first Pokemon release that I couldn't share with being excited for with my friends. I felt like was Diamond and Pearl. That's what it was for me.
I remember that too.
That's when I really realized that no one else I knew played. That was the big moment of
Oh man,
yeah,
that
for sure.
weird because it was like cool for me again.
It's weird too, because looking back on it and talking to people from that time, they all played the games. I feel like we all just kept it a secret that we all played Pokemon at home and just never talked about it, which is so weird to think about.
That's really funny. Yeah, I was in primary school at that time, of course, so I wasn't in middle school yet. But yeah, for sure as well. I felt like Gen 4 was definitely the cut where it was definitely not cool and people had different interests. And I know I only shared that really with my younger brothers, actually, who got the game. I didn't even get the game myself. I actually played it from my brothers because I was at boarding school at that time too, so it was definitely not allowed to bring gaming consoles there, so I would only play it on the weekends.
It's funny you say that. Like with the whole Gen 4 thing, I think maybe it's because I'm a few years, I guess I'm a child still. For me, it was Gen 5 that was like the breaking point. Like Gen 4 was like Gen 4 is the shit when I was younger, like Heart Gold and all that, So that's actually really interesting. Obviously, Pokemon's had a huge impact on my life. Let us know in the chat what impact has Pokemon had on you. Let us know, like, how would your lives be different? For me, obviously, I think Pokemon is just a big part of it. It's just the memories, like you make so many memories, both in game, but also just with people. Like I remember sitting around like on my friend's deck in his backyard and just all of us using action replays and doing like crazy stuff, But I think it's about that. And also just in terms of present day, just meeting so many friends. I wouldn't know any of you guys, I don't think. I wouldn't know a lot of people that I consider like close friends, even like Elliot and Steph. I wouldn't even know a lot of these people. That's so sad.
It would be really sad.
Yeah. But
it's crazy.
It's just, it's wild. It's just, Pokemon is a beautiful link, I think, that, can be between people,
Yeah.
It's powerful. You see everyone in chat, all you guys, we've all had like something that's impacted us a lot, with Pokemon, and I think that's awesome. That's crazy. So
that's wonderful.
I want to spin this question now. What do you think your life would be like right now if you never touched a Pokemon game?
I can take that. That'd be super easy. I'd just have an engineering job, and that would be that. I'd just have some engineering job, doing some coding, doing databases, something not fun. Just, I don't know, making okay money. Probably still with Nikki, since we are high school sweethearts. That wouldn't have really changed much. So what I do now, but probably a lot more miserable, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I would probably just be going to college, would get a normal IT job, would just, have my high school friends, maybe more friends I would meet at college, whatever. Yeah, it would be really weird. Probably would have dropped content a lot quicker.
I feel like it's so like impossible to say because of like the butterfly effect kind of thing. Because like, it was the first video game I ever played, right? When I was like 4 years old or something, right? So like the influence that had on like my cultural preferences and the way that I interact with video games and the way that influenced my life in so many ways. Just thinking about a lot of crucial moments in my life and a lot of crucial decisions in my life and how influenced I was by people I met through gaming or being interested in like Twitch or Nintendo or whatever is like, I feel like the past I would have gone down in life would have been so incredibly different that I have no idea what my life would be like right now.
It's so crazy because I want to say the same thing. Like thinking back to getting the Game Boy Color to play Pokemon, maybe I wouldn't have even gotten that console, and that console got me into my entire passion of gaming. So who knows whether I would have been even interested in, trying out PC games or other franchises like Harvest Moon that really impacted my childhood a lot as well. Like who knows if I would have been inclined to try those if it wasn't for Pokemon. So to think that I would have not a gaming passion in my life, that's so sad. I don't even want to think about it. It would be, I don't know. It would be definitely something I would not want to miss in my life. And it's crazy because we can't even, as I said, we can't even gauge the impact that it had because it just started an entire passion, really. And now we're all streaming on Twitch or doing YouTube or both, or doing podcasts and stuff that is just shaping our free time and the time we spend so much. So yeah, thank you, Pokemon.
I think for me, I would probably still be working like a 9-to-5 job if Pokemon wasn't in my life. And I actually really liked my last 9-to-5 job that I had. I was a front-end web developer. Video game wise, like I've kind of realized over the years that I'm drawn to games that involve a lot of collecting. So I guess I could easily see going down that route of making content in that situation. For example, like Final Fantasy 14 like scratches a lot of the itches that Pokemon does, and the fact that I want to collect all these cute minions that I never plan on actually using. Destiny scratches that itch of like I want to collect all these guns and emblems and ships that I don't ever plan on equipping. So I think I could go down that route with content creation. But as for like a 9-to-5 job, I was actually really content and really happy with what I was doing prior to full-time content creation. Not that I don't like full-time content creation, but I just kind of fell into this because of how life happens.
Okay. I want to do a rapid fire time. First Pokemon game. Ella.
Pokemon Yellow.
Jan. You're muted.
Sorry. Pokemon Blue.
Pokemon Diamonds. John.
Yellow.
Steve.
Pokemon Blue.
All right.
Josh, the odd one out.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's like I'm the 4th gen gamer or something.
Yeah.
Holy.
It's like you started with the 4th gen.
All right.
Nobody Pokemon Red, by the way.
Josh's age is showing now.
No, this is bad.
It's okay.
I'm a baby.
We love Josh, our baby.
First starter Pokemon. Ella, let's go around the horn like on the way out. Ella.
Squirtle.
We're doing ASMR? Alright guys, ASMR the whole way around.
Squirtle. I'm sorry.
I love you. I thought that might shock you because a lot of people went with Charmander.
Piplup.
Okay.
I can't. I can't.
No, we're keeping this going.
Pikachu.
Oh yeah, that's a lie. Oh god.
Oh.
I thought you mean when we had a choice. Oh, okay, because that was Pikachu too.
I was confused by your answer, but I was just gonna let it slide.
Yeah.
Oh, mother of God.
Oof.
All right. Okay. What are we doing again? All right. How were you
Fake gamer.
exposed to Pokemon? What was your?
I can answer this question. My sister actually told me about Pokemon. My older sister, she's a year older than me. We had to walk to school. We were like 3-4 blocks away from school, and so it was probably for me. It was probably near the end of the 4th grade, and she got up early to do her hair and stuff to look good, which in retrospect is kind of weird for a 4th grader, but I don't know. But she told me that a show was on that I would like, and it ended up being Pokemon. So this is when they were showing it at 5:30 in the morning, before it actually hit syndication afterwards. And so I would watch it, and then I would get so excited that it was on that I would get up at I think 5, and I think Dragon Ball Z was on before Pokemon. Where I learned that I didn't like Dragon Ball Z because nothing happens for 20 episodes in a row. But the first Pokemon episode I saw was I think episode 2 or 3. So then like a month or 2 later, my mom, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but they sent out a VHS to a bunch of video game companies of like the first 2 Pokemon episodes, and Blockbuster happened to have one of those copies, so my mom would like rent that for me. So that was the way I saw the first 2 episodes, was on this like VHS from Blockbuster. And then finally they it got popular enough where they put it on after school, where all the popular cartoons are, at like 4 p.m. when school's over. So then I was able to rewatch almost like the first 20 or 30 episodes again, because they pulled it from 5:30 in the morning. So that's how I got into it. And then that was whenever the TV show started. And then going into that holiday, so I had to wait 3 or 4 months before I got the video game, and which I got for
John.
Okay. So I don't know. I mean, I was young enough that it truly is one of my first memories. I grew up, my first 6 years were in Arizona, so it's whatever little flashes I have, and I know I got it for Christmas. My older cousin was really the one person I played, back and forth together as we grew up. So I would imagine that he got the games, which got the idea to my dad to get me the game, and then I played the game. It's not really too exciting. I was too young to really have any sort of story of learning about Pokemon. I just kind of had it, and then everything else just came from there.
Mine isn't that exciting either. I saw all my friends playing it, and I was like, all right, I want to try it out. Like, I have a DS Lite. Okay, what game do I get? And they were like, all right, Pokemon Diamond. And I was like, they were telling me, all right, so you're gonna have 3 starter Pokemon choices. Pick Piplup, it's the best one. And the rest was history.
What age was that, Josh?
Good question. Oh shit, maybe like 4th grade.
So I guess I want to ask you, when did you first hear about Pokemon? And because there's a big gap. I started playing when I was really young, and for you, there's 3 generations that are really popular. What was your experience up until 4th gen?
I actually feel like I couldn't tell you. I feel like it was just like this really like foreign idea to me. Like, I feel like Pokemon to me then was like Digimon to me now. Like, if you were to ask me like about Digimon, I would be like, bro, I don't know. Like
it exists.
Like, what? It was very foreign. Like, I was very just like,
the
YOLO.
Digimon anime is really good.
Yeah, if you shit on my boy Gilmon, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely know that. What is it called?
It's Gilmon, dude. He's great.
So
My favorite is Angebomon.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. I'm so basic, I know, but it's okay.
It's okay.
So this is
Do
the
you ever
point.
wonder? This is the hugest, biggest derail ever. Do you ever wonder if Angewomon sent really unrealistic beauty expectations for people that grew
She
up with
did,
Digimon?
yeah.
She really
for
did,
sure.
Excuse me,
sure.
everyone. We are switching the podcast. We are shifting gears to growing up with Digimon.
All right, I'm into this.
We're all. I mean,
about that
we,
Joe redemption.
we have 3 people. We have 3 people that have Pokemon in their name, so that we'll just Digimon challenges, Digimen, Digicast.
Favorite starter Digimon, go!
Oh, no.
Dude, I've been looking to an opportunity to rant about Impmon's character arc in season 3 forever, dude.
Talk about how good Edamon is and that he's
Wow, we should have seen that
and
coming.
then he comes back and then he's metal Edamon. Oh my gosh, I love Digimon.
Oh my gosh. Garurumon.
All right. Well, while we're in this Digimon vibe, I want to take a minute, and you guys all know that I'm a YouTuber, so we have to take a ceremonial thumbnail picture.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
You all just pose, and then I take a screenshot. It's gonna be make a PogChamp, a happy face,
Yeah, I'm smiling.
you're
I'm not doing
laughing,
anything
whatever
else.
you want. I'm gonna do a.
I don't know what to do.
You could think emoji, you know.
Josh, when are we doing this?
I'm gonna hold this.
you
Try
just
to
gonna
look
hold that.
melancholic, guys.
All right, 3, 2. Got him.
Okay.
Good.
Alright.
Whew, I was
I
getting
will-
a
That's some good YouTube content.
cramp
right
in my
there.
face.
People are gonna love this part.
Okay.
Listen, high key, this makes my life literally like 100 times easier. I don't have to go through and like get everyone's faces and like.
I get it.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's-
When you have like a VOD and you're like, oh, I need a thumbnail with my face for this, and you go through the entire VOD and you just never make any interesting facial expressions.
especially like podcasts, it's like we're just kind of like talking. Except for Ella finds a reason to laugh about anything, and I think that's the best thing ever. Ella, I literally raided Ella, and she has a raid video now. That's her just laughing at stupid shit in like every video game. Like
Yeah, it's true.
she's playing like Sim City or something, or like Roller Coaster Tycoon, something like that. And
was
like there was
Sims
like
1.
yeah, that's what it was. And there was like a dog that walked out in front of a truck, and Ella's like, "This dog's a savage."
No, the dog was blocking the road.
Well,
And
right.
the school bus
Is-
couldn't leave, so everyone was just honking. And I was like, why was that happening? It was because of that dog run in front of the school bus and wouldn't leave. Okay,
So
side note. So where were we?
let's do like somewhat of a rapid fire. What consoles and handhelds did you have access to? Give a little bit of context to how our Pokemon journey started off. John, why don't you start this one? We'll go clockwise.
I mean, again, started just with Christmas, so I got a Game Boy Color, and I had all the handhelds growing up, but people always get mad at me because I did not play the GameCube Pokemon games, the Wii Pokemon games, because I went handhelds and then like Xbox and shooter games. It wasn't ever like all the Nintendo stuff. So I'm a lot of times out of place talking about Nintendo and what we grew up with beyond Pokemon. It's the big link for me is Pokemon, and after that it was other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, my experience was actually really similar to John's. We moved a lot when I was a kid, like all over the world, and I like my first Pokemon game was like the Game Boy Color, obviously with Pokemon Blue, right when I was like 4 years old, and then I only like had the handhelds for a very long time, and wasn't really even familiar with the concept of home consoles for like a very long time. I always watched my dad play like Command and Conquer and stuff on his PC, so that was more like it was either that or handhelds, right? Console gaming was like completely out of my world somehow. And then I eventually got my first home console was a PS2, and for some reason I never had any good games for that console. I just they had so many legendary titles, and I had like none of them.
Yeah.
It was bad. So then I had like the Wii and stuff. But for me, it was mainly just all the handheld consoles. I had like every Game Boy Advance, every DS. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, my first handheld was the DS Lite. I was a late boy. Before that, I wasn't like a big. I was a big sports kid. I played a lot of sports when I was younger. Like when I started YouTube, I started with sports. I started with MLB. Started with baseball stuff. So my first thing was DS Lite. Before that, I was a PS2 kid. You know, Simpsons Hit and Run kind of makes sense. No N64, no GameCube. I had a Wii. I got into the XD bandwagon very late. Yeah, that's pretty much my console / handheld, foundation, if you would. Ella?
I should probably say something inconsistent again so it doesn't add up. My first console was... No. It was the Game Boy Color. The purple transparent one. And I was so happy with it. I actually still have it. I did not get another console until I bought myself a DS Lite from my own money because I was one of 4 kids. So getting new consoles usually just happened for one of the kids. My brother had a Game Boy Advance, and my youngest brother then got a Game Boy SP that I could Game Boy Advance SP that I could borrow from time to time, which was very nice. And also my youngest brother got the first DS Lite in the household, but he would not borrow me that one. So I bought myself an own one when I was like... It was quite late actually, like I was like 15 or so. 15, 16. And...
This is an interesting... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I know you don't have any siblings, so...
Yeah.
For us it was always like, one of the kids gets the console. They are kind of shared anyway. And we also got like the GameCube and the PS2. They were shared too. My brother got the most games. I don't know why that is, by the way. Like, I don't know why I never got any games, but I think my mom just had a weird perception that I wasn't really interested in it. Unless I really asked for like a specific title. But usually it was my younger brothers getting the games. So I was just leeching off them.
Ella used Leech Life.
Yeah. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I don't know about you, John. I was an only child, so I think handheld consoles, and because we traveled a lot too, it just made more sense. Because like now that I think about it, if you have siblings, right, it's much harder to share a handheld console than it is to like a home console, right, like an N64 or GameCube or something. So maybe I've never thought about this before, but maybe that's the reason that I never like got into the home console thing as much.
I mean, for me, I have one sibling, but my parents were really like, I grew up like the thing I like most after Pokemon, it's still sports. I grew up, it was a lot of like be outside. Like I had rules. I remember I couldn't like come in and play video games unless I was outside for a certain amount. I remember being like grounded, and it was if you scored this many points in a basketball game, you get this many hours of video game time. I was like, oh, really? Let's do it. So it was a lot less of that. So whenever we'd travel, I could have the handheld, but beyond that, it wasn't as much like playing with consoles and, really being super into a bunch of different titles. So, not the same situation, but definitely I think we traveled a good amount, not like moving a ton, but just like, like going camping, going to visit people, always had the handheld in the car.
Right. Steve?
What was the question? Oh, consoles. I got a Game Boy, I want to say the gray, big, fat, silver Game Boy, probably a year after they came out, because, they would have been pack-ins at the time. So my pack-in was Link's Awakening, which I want to say I was closer to 8 or 9 when that came out, and Link's Awakening was extremely hard for me as a kid. I remember always very interested with it and couldn't do it until a year or two later, because this was again before the time of internet or strategy guides or anything like that, and I was the dumb kid that didn't realize you have to use your shield to push the 2 point prickly things out of the way to get the sword. It took me like 2 years to figure out as a kid. But then my sister and I got red and blue for Christmas of following year, whatever the winter after the anime started, and my sister got, I want to say she only got to like the 7th or 8th gym before she completely gave up on it. She just was no longer interested in video games. I mean, she was for like a year or two with the Game Boy, but Pokemon was kind of like the last major video game she kind of played. And that was when my mom picked it up and started playing. My mom wasn't super interested in it either until like Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium came out. She loved Snap, and she super loved Stadium mini games. And she loved Pokemon Pinball as well. So I had a lot of quality time with my mom on like very old, the original Game Boy, and then like the 64 and stuff. I mean, I've had every Nintendo console since then. Like I didn't have them at launch, but I'd usually get them a year or two after they came out. But yeah, I didn't have like Xboxes or PlayStations in the house because I guess my mom would always gravitate towards a Nintendo console because of like Mario Kart or any kind of like mini game collection that she felt like that was the thing we should buy for the family.
Makes sense.
That's really
That's
cool.
wholesome.
Honestly, like I feel like talking about handhelds and how they really had such a big impact on us, and they were like the optimal, like we could take them with us anywhere. To, you know, I would always take them when we would visit relatives because I knew I was always bored, and travels and long car rides. It was just kind of perfect. I mean, now obviously with the Switch, that's very much changed, of course, because the Switch is both the home console and the handheld, which is amazing. But I also feel like now with the new Switch announcement, I feel like it just, you know, handhelds just make a lot of sense. So I'm kind of excited to see that. Because there was a lot of backlash, I think, or at least I saw some like backlash about it. So yeah, I think for another generation, this just makes way more sense.
Sure. Totally.
I remember you said your sister got like stuck after like the first gym or something. Do you guys remember in your first playthroughs of Pokemon, was there any point where you got like super like hard stuck?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember for like 2 months, and like I think it was Pokemon Diamond. Like I didn't know to take the stupid medicine. Like I probably like skipped over the dialogue and didn't read it, and go up to the Psyducks. They're like, I have a headache, and then like go up there and I was like, where do I go? I beat everything. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And then after I found out about that, I called one of my friends and they told me, and
Oh
then
my
I was
gosh.
like, oh, I'm so good.
For me, go ahead, Ella. Sorry.
Jan is
Okay.
quiet.
Ladies first.
Jan should
Yeah, I
be
think I'm a little
loud.
bit For me, sometimes I don't talking to my microphone properly. For me, it was Cerulean City. I did not find my way out of Cerulean City. The hole in the wall of the dude that got broken into, I did not realize that was a hole for like, I want to say honest, I don't remember, but I want to say it was like half a year. Like until my friend at like a birthday party or something like pointed it out to me, and I was like, oh, I can actually play the game again. That's pretty cool.
Wow. So for me, it was Pokemon Yellow. Obviously, you get Pikachu as a starter, and the first gym against Brock is already really tough. Now, my Yellow edition was from the US. It was in English, and I didn't speak English back then, so I had no idea what I was doing. I was just basically running around. I had no idea how to catch Pokemon or how to level them up or what is actually happening. So I tried to take on Brock. I don't even know how I got to Brock, to be honest. I would just always lose, like all the time. And I was like, why? Why am I losing all the time? Why is none of my attacks working? And the one that worked, I think that was Tackle, was just like doing nothing, you know? And I was like so frustrated with it. And I only figured it out once we got the Blue and Red edition because they were in German. And I finally kind of figured out what the game was about. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can catch them and actually, you know, evolve them. And at some point, I actually bet Brock, and it was the best moment of my life. I'm not gonna lie.
Ella,
yeah.
Sorry. I'm curious. Until which generation do you remember the German Pokemon names?
I played my first version in English when it came with a language, with a, how to say that, language selection.
Yeah.
and that was Gen 6. So all the Pokemon
Yeah.
before that, I learned in German. So I always get confused. Like sometimes I just remember the German name, and I'm like, yeah, I know that Pokemon. You know, the one with thingy.
It's like
and...
such a big thing about Gen 6 that people forget was that all of the languages are selectable.
Yeah. For me, it was, I think Gen 4 was the last gen I played in German. And then because I started playing on emulators and stuff, like Heart Gold Soul Silver, Gen 5 and stuff, I would all play in English.
We only had them
Because
in
I would
German.
also, because I would also be doing like competitive battling and stuff at the time, so knowing the English names was like better.
Right.
But there's some pretty good German Pokemon names. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, I started playing the games in English when I started streaming. Before that, I was even playing Gen 6 at the beginning in German for the nostalgia.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? I didn't.
I think I remember
think
that
I
actually.
would...
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I started. I think the first Pokemon stream I did was shiny hunting in X and Y in the Friend Safari, I think. And I remember, oops, my game is in German. I completely, and then I was like, can I change it? No. So I had to get myself a new cartridge and played through another game.
Do we have a John or Steve? You guys have like a stuck moment, a stuck memory?
You can go.
Oh, sure. I got stuck between Lavender Town and Cerulean, where you have to go to defeat Team Rocket, get the Silph-Co, and then bring it back to see the ghost. So I couldn't figure that out. That was like way too complicated, I guess, for me as a little kid that didn't read any of the dialogue anyways. So my solution was to just restart the game. And I started the game with Bulbasaur. I restarted it, and then I picked Squirtle. And then my sister was still playing at the time, and I was upset that she was now farther than me in the game. So I got back to Cerulean in like a day or two, whereas prior to this, it probably took me like 3 or 4 months to get to this point of the game. And I properly read the dialogue to realize what I needed to do. And then I was able to get through that part. But that was probably like that, and then like just defeating the Elite Four were probably the 2 parts I got stuck on the longest. And obviously the Elite Four is just really straightforward. It's just being good / strong enough to beat them. So just hit trial and error for that.
Yeah.
For
John?
me, I mean, Gen 1 was a breeze because I didn't play the game. I just thought I was playing the game. So I had every legendary, everything transported onto Pokemon Stadium. I was like, wow, this is great. I can kill everyone with Mewtwo. And I got Gen 2, and while I loved it, at some point the battery died out in the game, so it couldn't save. So I played through Gen 2 so many times getting to Morty, and then the batteries would start dying, and I'd have to replay it. So in my head, I got, it's okay to play Pokemon, get to a point, and then just, leave it alone for like maybe a few days and just replay it over again. So for the longest time, I never would go and beat the Elite Four because I didn't really know what to do. I'd get there and be like, oh crap, my team's not good. All right, we'll just run it back. Let's do it again. So
did any of you guys? I played a lot of Pokemon, and did you ever have those like bootleg Game Boy cartridges with a bunch of different games on them?
No.
I didn't.
I would always have those because I spent a lot of time as a kid in Asia, so my parents would just buy these at like random markets and shit, and they would have like Pokemon versions on them, right? But some of them were like really, really badly translated, and in most of them you couldn't save.
Oh god.
Oh.
So what I would do is
God.
I would just leave my Game Boy running, hooked up to
You
the
get it,
fucking
yeah.
charger all overnight. So
How
I
did
could
you
beat
do that
the
with
game.
batteries, though? You couldn't
Yeah,
have
it's
done
not-
that back then.
Oh yeah, true. No, it must have been with the Game Boy SP with the
Yeah, that's the first one
color
with the
cartridges.
rechargeable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I did it on. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
the
you're
other
right.
ones, that would be
Yeah,
a
you can't do
problem.
that. True. Yeah.
Did
It was,
anyone ever... Sorry.
Go ahead.
Did anyone ever get stuck in Rock Tunnel?
I got frustrated and
On
probably gave
YouTube,
up.
when I first played Yellow,
In Blue
I spent 3
Kaizo, I did.
episodes on Rock Tunnel, like in 2013, like my first ever Pokemon series.
I think I think I didn't get stuck in a rock tunnel because I think I had Nintendo Power, and Nintendo Power always had like a section dedicated to like, this is how we help you with a specific game. And I think there was, maybe I'm misremembering, but I swear they like dedicated something to Rock Tunnel because it was like the tip of the month or whatever. In
I
Nintendo
see.
Power.
I definitely got stuck in it because I didn't know there was the Flash Hey Jam. I would always turn my Game Boy Color like in a weird angle so you could see a little bit that there was like some difference between the walls and the actual area. Like it was like I would always turn it a little bit just to see a little bit and then just go to the latches, and at some point I got through, but it took me forever. So that's
great.
definitely also something that I just thought
Fuck
about.
the rock tunnel.
Yeah.
I do want to give a reminder to anyone in chat that wants to ask us questions and everything. We see you guys in chat. If you want us to answer your questions, very important, make sure you tweet them at us. You can see in the upper right, tweet at Elite4TV. That is the Twitter for the team. And use the hashtag IP. So go ahead and tweet them at us. We want to answer your questions. If you guys do have any. It looks like we actually have oh wow, we have quite a few questions. You can keep them related. Priority goes to the ones that are more related to what we're talking about.
So Digimon questions.
Yes.
Digimon is officially part of the podcast now, so All right. Favorite memory of Pokemon when you were younger? Not like, not new age, but like, like childhood. If anyone wants to start, if not, I got one.
I think
yeah, go ahead.
Mine's actually pretty quick. So, Blockbuster, going there and renting games. It's actually not a main Pokemon game, but I love Pokemon Snap, and we'd get it for a weekend. I'd play it through, do everything. It'd go back to Blockbuster, and just every time we'd re-get it was like the most exciting thing. I don't know why they never just bought me the game. Never happened. But we re-rented it like 20 different times, and I had so much fun. Yes. Yeah.
My parents would never let me get the stickers. They said it was too expensive.
Oh no. But that was definitely my favorite thing. I mean, I have Pokemon Snap in my N64 in front of me. I just love that game. So that was that.
I remember staying up really late that first night. Does anyone have that memory? Like,
yeah.
Just like
with 4th gen, yes.
Oh, I saw. Oh, I wish I had the tweet. Oh my god. There was a tweet where like there's like Squidward walking out of like the bathroom.
I can go snag that.
Oh my god, get it.
Yeah, I'll get it for you.
When like you're playing on your DS or your whatever, and like you're trying to like sneak it, like staying up until like midnight or whatever. John, you are so clutch.
You probably saw it because I retweeted it.
I saw it, yeah.
Yes.
It's so good. Can you put it in the Twitch chat?
Wow. Yeah, of course.
Actually, that was me at boarding school.
But yeah, no, I just that was my favorite memory in a way. Like just having that first experience, like when everything is special. Like I remember evolving my Piplup and not even knowing what evolution was, and I was just like, oh my god, like, oh, that's just. It was just like that feeling of like newness. Like it was cool. It was just there's like a feeling that you can't fully describe,
Yeah. That's what we thrive from still, I would almost say.
Yeah, exactly.
I do for sure.
So for me, the first thing that comes to mind is 3rd and 4th grade, I lived in Hong Kong, right? And I did go to German school there. So I had a lot of like German friends and everything. And we would all play Pokemon Sapphire and Pokemon Ruby, right? And I would actually, so I lived on a different island than where my school was, and a bunch of others there too. And we'd have to take a ferry every morning to get to school, right? Like a 25-minute ferry ride. And we would always play Pokemon on that ferry ride, like every day, right? And it was like a group of 3 or 4 or 5 of my friends, right? And then a bunch of others that were at the school. And I remember leaving Hong Kong when I moved away was like really, really heartbreaking for me. So one thing that I really, really loved was that I had all my friends from back then. I had all their secret bases on my Sapphire cartridge. So it was a way for me to like relive those memories and go back. And I think that was like that feature to me is like so dear in my heart because of that. So I think just like those days where we would get off of school and then like get like snacks at like a little shop and then like play Pokemon on the ferry and then like go to the beach and play more there was probably my favorite memories with it. Yeah.
Very good. Any other takers?
For me, this is probably really embarrassing. I don't even know if I've told this story to my community at all, but when I was in 6th grade, which is some like grade schools, I don't know how your guys' grade schools were, but like some grade schools were like 1 to 6th grade, but then middle school was 7th and 8th, but my middle school was 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Mine was 6, 7, 8.
I know in Milwaukee there's like a line where grade school goes to 6 and middle school starts at 7th, but middle school was 6th grade for me, and WWF was really popular in my household at the time. So when I heard that you could be in wrestling for like middle school, I thought that was like my way to
it's like it's like the South Park episode.
Yes.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I joined, and that was like the only time I've like seen my dad be very like, you see the stereotype of like the dad yelling at the kid during football games and stuff like over the coach, and my dad was like totally that kind of dad. Fast forward, I'm really bad at anything athletic, so I lost every single wrestling match or every single wrestling meet. Me and my little singlet, weighing like 95 pounds because I was a tiny person, and my dad told me we were at a wrestling meet, and I don't know, I was a nerdy, very scrawny kid, and I guess I was up against another very nerdy, scrawny kid. And my dad said, if you can beat this kid, if you can win, we will go to Toys R Us after the wrestling meet, and I will buy you Pokemon Stadium. And Pokemon Stadium probably was only on the shelf for like a month or two. And I worked my butt off, and I lost.
Oh no!
So I had to wait till like my birthday to get Pokemon Stadium, but that was like the worst feeling in the entire world. Like I've never wanted something more in my life than Pokemon Stadium, but I couldn't win. It was real awful.
I cry. Oh no!
So
oh
sad.
my gosh, that is so sad. So the question was our
favorite memory, or one of your favorite
memory.
When you were younger.
I saved up a lot of money because games were just very expensive back then, especially for, I don't know, how old was I? 10? When did Gen 3 come out?
What was that? 2003?
2003. Yeah, I was like 10 years old. And I remember, I don't even know which occasion it was. It must have been, I think I just saved up the money, and I told my mom that I wanted to get the new Pokemon game, Pokemon Sapphire. I didn't even know how it was called back then. I just knew that there was a new one because I saw it on the TV commercial, and I wanted to get it. And I told my mom I wanted to get it. We went to I grew up in a very, very, very small town. We had like one electronics store, and they would have a very limited amount of games. And I went there with her, and I went to the game section, and you know, they were all like locked up and in those cases, and I was like, yes, this is it. I want to get the blue one, the sapphire one, and and I got it, and I paid for it with my own money. It was incredible. And I remember being in the car and opening up the packaging, and I opened it, and I saw that cartridge was in this beautiful sapphire blue, and I just died inside. It was, I've never seen anything like that before, and I was so fat. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever bought, ever. And I was so excited to come home and just to put it into the Game Boy Advance of my brother and to just start playing it. And I loved Gen 3 so much. It has been like, Gen 2 is when I fell in love with the franchise, like for sure, but Gen 3 was such a step up from Gen 2, and I was fascinated. Like I loved everything so much about it. So that was my happiest memory.
Real talk, the cartridge design for Pokemon has always been amazing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
At least up until Fire Leaf Green, right? Up until the Game Boy Advance games. I feel like with the DS games, they were a lot more like restricted.
Yeah, just like
For sure.
size-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably one of the best like unique features that Pokemon franchise had. Like just the cartridges that had the color of, the game that it was. It was a great distinct feature.
Okay, so
For sure.
I want to move on to another topic. Did you ever take a break from Pokemon?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I did.
So I took a break after Heart Gold Soul Silver, or after. Wait, what was the last game of 4th gen? Was it Platinum or Heart Gold?
It's Heart Gold, because they didn't think we were even going to get more Pokemon games. In the community, people were like, "This is it, we're done."
Right.
So there was like a big feeling like that.
Yeah, it was after Heart Gold Soul Silver. Didn't even touch Gen 5. I'm finally just now beating Black and White with Elliot now. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no. You know what it is? It's about like in some ways like what your friends do. Like I just stopped playing because like my friends stopped playing, and it was just like it just didn't feel like the cool thing. And then I got back into it by actually learning how emulators work on my Mac, and I was like, oh my god, like wait, can I play Pokemon Emerald on this? And then after like a week of trying, I finally got it to work. I was in like maybe like grade 7 or grade 8. And I was like, oh my god. And then I played through Pokemon Emerald and I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Like I miss Pokemon. I forgot I missed it. And it was like, it was so fresh and it was so great. It was such a good feeling. But yeah, Gen 5 was the total utter break for me. So anyone else, did you take a break and what got you back into it?
For me as well, yeah, it was actually Gen 5. Gen 4 my brother still had, so I would play them, but I wasn't as much into it because first of all, this wasn't my console, and I don't know if anyone is weird about that too, but if like the DS Lite, I didn't have my own one, so I would always had to give it back and stuff, and it was just kind of taking away from the experience of being able to play whenever I wanted. So Gen 5 I completely missed out on. And I came back when Gen 6 actually was announced, and I actually had a 3DS because I bought it for Animal Crossing. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Playing Pokemon on the 3DS, that's going to be great. And I was already studying at that time, and I studied computer science, so my friends were all quite nerdy. So we would all pre-order the game, and we would do like a Pokemon launch party at the friend's house with like lots of snacks, and we would just play the games, it was great. It was amazing. So yeah, definitely I would say Gen 4 maybe already counting in there a little bit already, just because of logistics reasons.
Right.
And Gen 5 for sure. And another break, I took a break as well, like last year from Pokemon, because I've been streaming it a lot. And I got ultimately burned out a little bit on the content, so I decided to stream other games. And it's been good for me because I rediscover my love for it now very slowly again. So I'm very happy. I played Let's Go, it was great. And I'm very, very excited for the Switch Pokemon game now as well.
Jan.
Sorry.
Steve.
I skipped Gen 3. I would have been in like 8th grade, I want to say, maybe end of 7th grade, early 8th grade when Gen 3 came out. So Pokemon wasn't like a cool thing. Not that like would have stopped me per se, because I already knew like Pokemon was already stopped being cool early 6th and 7th grade anyways. But I didn't have a Game Boy Advance right away. So like by the time I did get around to a Game Boy Advance, like it just wasn't a game that I like ended up asking for. So I skipped all of like Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and then I got Diamond and Pearl on release day. That's at that point that was probably like near end of high school for me. So like Pokemon became the cool thing again. and me and a friend went to GameStop early to get Diamond and Pearl, and then I played through Diamond and Pearl, and then I actually went back on my own and I purchased Ruby and Sapphire and Fire Red, Leaf Green, and played through those. So I didn't really take a super long break. When Gen 5 came out, I got those on release day. I actually went to the Mall of America because they had a Pokemon Black and White tour, and Mall of America was the tour date for the actual release date. So I was there. I think you could also play the Wii early, if I remember correctly, and you could wait in line to play the Wii for the first time at that tour. And I haven't skipped a game since, although I didn't play a lot of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire when it came out because it wasn't particularly my favorite, but I've since then have played through those games.
For me, it was around like a few months after Heart Gold Soul Silver came out, and for like Gen 4 was probably my most active time. I played like a ton of competitive battling. It's when I got into Nuzlocking. It's when I got into like YouTube content or like watching it on YouTube and stuff, right? And around the time that like Heart Gold Soul Silver had come out, there was like a drastic shift in like my interest when it came to gaming. That's when I started getting into like Call of Duty, and then for a long time, and then eventually or like in general like a lot of PC gaming, and then eventually StarCraft 2, which is maybe not anymore now that I've been streaming so much, but for a very long time was like my most played game of all time. I played a lot of StarCraft 2. And around that kind of time, I was very not interested in Pokemon. So this was all when Gen 5 was coming out and stuff, which is kind of a shame in retrospect because the Gen 5 games are really my favorite in the series. But it was just a shift of interest that I just wasn't really interested in those games anymore and was more interested in like competitive games. And then I remember when X and Y came out, my girlfriend at the time actually, it wasn't even a birthday or anything. She just surprised me with like a used 3DS and the X and Y games, because she knew I liked Pokemon as a kid, and I got a little bit back into it. Pretty much every generation, or like with X and Y when X and Y came out, when Auras came out, I always got a little bit back into like a little bit of competitive battling and Nuzlocking and stuff. And around that time, I started like, because I was commuting a lot, so I started doing like Nuzlocks of like Drayano games on my phone. That's actually what like gave me the idea of starting my channel. Yeah.
Spicy. John.
Mine's not interesting because I never really got out of Pokemon. I was very aware of what was cool, but I also was not aware that playing like handhelds or Pokemon wasn't cool. I didn't talk about it, so I would just play it. But like my school, like high school, everyone had a 360. Everyone was playing Modern Warfare 2, Halo 3, Battlefield. So I was really into those games, and I'd play those with all my friends. Then at night, I'd just play 4th gen games, like the stupid tweet, put it under my pillow, and that was just what I did. I mean, if I played a game in the day, it would be a console shooter game with friends, and then at night, I would just play on my DS to relax. And it really took me far too long to realize, like, really none of my friends are interested in this at all. It was like a weird realization. So I never really got out of it. I don't know. I had no idea anyone else in the world was not playing Pokemon. I've just always loved it so much, which is why I've survived doing this so long. I know so many people have dealt with burnout with Pokemon specifically, which I definitely get. I'm just one of those weird people that this has just always been my favorite game, and it's just weirdly special in that way. I've just always loved it.
I don't think I ever really paid attention what other people's what other people liked during school, and I don't think I would have cared. I really just wasn't really allowed to take. I had a Game Boy SP from a friend sometimes who was with me sharing a room at boarding school, but it was not something that was seen. It was kind of judged a little bit, I guess, because it was kind of very there. And I also was a lot into music at that time. I grew up with a classical music education, and I was playing in 3 different orchestras. So my whole week was just music, basically. And only on the weekends when I would go home, I would actually get to play games because I was home. So it was definitely interesting. to think about, that I never really cared what others thought of my hobbies, but at the same time I didn't really have the freedom to play those games in that time, which is probably the reason why I missed out on those gens and those consoles.
Right. So this is a very interesting question. How has your view of Pokemon changed over the years? How do you play it differently now? How has your perception changed? I definitely have a lot to say with this one. You know, my passion over time has really shifted. You know, from like, I love Pokemon, and Pokemon I think I still have a lot of passion for, but like my passion is definitely a lot more skewed towards like content now. Like, I love making like cool ideas. I love bringing people together. I love doing Cutthroat Pokemon and Indigo Plateau and Elliot and Josh at the Stream games, whatever, all those things, you know? Like, I love just being creative using video games, and all of you guys do too. And I think that's really cool that we can get together and talk about that kind of stuff. And I definitely view the Pokemon games more from that like perspective. I think that's why we have a lot of people that, you know, think, you know, Gen 6 is one of the best games, and a lot of people think it's one of the worst games, because it's really like shallow in some ways. But like from my perspective, you know, Gen 6 was the best generation in terms of like being able to make content, for like a few different reasons. Like, I and Elliot and I always talk about this, like when we're talking like content strategy and stuff, like we can always go back to X and Y, and it's a good time in terms of like doing a randomizer, doing a Nuzlocke, like, you know, the textures, everything looks just, it looks nice. It's like a sweet spot. You have Wonder Trades, which open up a lot of opportunities. You have Mega Evolution, like all of the shiny hunting methods. I feel like X and Y brought together a lot of opportunities to bring people together, you know, just Gen 6 overall. So I feel like I definitely view Pokemon and just games in general more less as a gaming experience and more as an opportunity to bring people together. So like, I'm not one of those people that plays Pokemon for the story, you know, like some people like play Pokemon to have like a deep story, or like they want to like connect and stuff. I think that's what's beautiful about Pokemon, is like everyone can play for their own reason. Like, some people play because they really like the music. Some people play because they like to collect. Some people like to play because they want to challenge themselves. True Green 7 made a video on that, like how we can each rate, you know, Pokemon games. And he plays the games because he wants to build a team that he can bond with, like a team of Pokemon that he can connect to. And I think he said it was either Let's Go or Ultra Sun and Moon did a really good job of that. But, you know, it didn't do good in some other ways, like in some other aspects. So I feel like overall, my view is definitely skewed from less of like the casual player to more like, how can this be more of a cultural phenomenon, you know? And how can we be a part of that? Because I think that's a really cool thing that Pokemon has the power to do. I mean, look at Pokemon Go. That's just crazy. So
I think it's also like, it makes these discussions of which gen is the best and which gen is bad and which gen is like really good, like it makes it so obsolete, because we all play Pokemon for different reasons and we all enjoy different aspects of the game, and that really makes the franchise so successful. Like, that's something we really need to keep in mind, that all your perspectives are valid, no matter if it's good or bad, but that is why the franchise is still so relevant.
As long as
There's
Gen
so
4 is
many
at the top of your list, because there's no inferior generation. No, but
So-
seriously,
I
yeah.
mean, to some people are.
No.
I think the comparison I would draw here is one of the reasons Pokemon's so successful, or the games are so successful, is a similar reason as to why Minecraft is so successful. And that is a game that can be played in a lot of different ways, and because of that, appeals to a lot of different kinds of players, right? There's a collection aspect to the game, which a lot of people like. There's an adventure RPG aspect of the game, which a lot of people like. There's a competitive aspect of the game that a lot of people like, right? There's like so many things that go into it, and there's so many unique ways of playing through the game that it just broadens the audience by so much. And I truly do believe, as long as Pokemon retains that sort of freedom to express yourself within the games will like be relatively successful. and that I think that's what's important. I mean, that's what allows me to do what I do, right? That's what allows shiny hunters to do what they do. That's what allows competitive battlers to do what they do, right? That's why
And it
Pokemon
allows
content
filthy
creation-
casuals like me what they do.
Exactly. Yeah, it's what makes Pokemon content creation so versatile as well, right?
Yeah. for
Ella
sure.
paints Pokemon cards. Like you could do so many things. Steph has done drawing Pokemon from memory on stream. Like there's so many ways to shake it up, like tier lists and this and that, and you know, at the end of the day, it's bringing people together, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
John or Steve, how has your view on
I-
Pokemon changed throughout the years?
Feel free to cut me off at some point. I like to ramble on things. This is such an interesting question I mean, it's a game I've played since I'm 4. I mean, it's 20 years of my life. And I mean, the reason Pokemon is so good for me is I really, truly love every aspect. So beyond content creation, I mean, 4th gen, when I really got into the scene, what other people were doing, I got into shiny hunting then, and I moved into competitive battling. And, you know, depending on what community I was in, like, the competitive battlers, especially back there, I think Jan would know a little bit better than some people. Oh, you hunt for shinies? No. You want to make a top 5? No, you're not doing that. We're doing this one thing. And that's how I met more people like, oh, I can play through. I like playing through the game. These people don't, but I love that. Or, oh, I really like to challenge myself. Nuzlocke runs are fun. Or, oh, like me and Nikki got back into the, collecting the cards in 5th gen. Every part of it, it's just every once in a while I kind of change my focus, which it's definitely hurt me content creation wise. If I just picked one avenue and just kept doing that, that'd probably have helped me in these past years. But it's been so fun to move on to the next thing over and over again, and it's kept Pokemon fresh. So like I feel like I've never really lost my love for Pokemon, but my view, like what I want to make content wise, has changed. What I enjoy doing the most has changed, and it's just kind of been an ever-changing, thing. And once we get the new games, I'm sure there's going to be something about that I, like a little bit more. Right now, I'm doing more challenge runs, but maybe I'm going to do more shiny hunting. Maybe I'll get back into the Wi-Fi battling, and that's the beauty of Pokemon for me as it moves forward. There's always something new for me to, play and challenge myself with. So that's probably. I'll stop there before I go on some tangent.
No, it's beautiful.
I think Jan is 100% right with how Pokemon can appeal to so many different people for so many different reasons. I think when I started streaming on Twitch, I quickly realized that I've always known I really don't care about the story too much. Like, I like seeing it, but I don't think it's anything like that I need to tell somebody like, oh my gosh, you need to sit down and play the story to Gen 3. It'll make you cry. Like, I don't ever think the stories of Pokemon games are particularly that good. And then over the years, I've realized like I don't really actually like the battling that much. I got into shiny hunting a bit. I mean, I do still shiny hunt, and I do like it, but I think I've come to realize that it's not particularly like the shinies I care about. It's just it's just another thing to collect, right? Like if cast form is 1% in the rain in this game, only in this specific grass, only if you take 2 steps to the right, like that.
The
to
hokey
me
pokey.
that to me is like as important as any shiny, because I know that it's rare in that sense. So like, one of my favorite Pokemon I've ever gotten was when I went to the 2011 World Tournament. They gave a Scraggy and a Cherish Ball, and I absolutely love that Pokemon. I transferred it to my copy of Black 1 when I got it at Worlds, and then I transferred it to my copy of Black 2, and now it lives in Pokemon Bank. I don't think I've ever leveled it. I don't think I've ever put it on my team. I don't even think I've ever thrown it out into battle to see what it looks like. I mean, it looks like a Scraggy and a Cherish Ball, but like I will probably never use that Pokemon in battle, or it'll probably live in Pokemon Bank or Pokemon Home forever, and that's 100% okay with me, because that specific Pokemon holds that memory of like, I got this at the World Tournament in California, and it was my first Pokemon Worlds. It was my first time going to California. It was like my first time on a plane. So like, for me, that's why I don't ever do like randomizers or anything like that, because I could do a Nuzlocke, just a regular old Nuzlocke in X and Y, and at the end of that Nuzlocke, I can have like, these are the 6 Pokemon that survived the Nuzlocke, and they'll now live in Pokemon Bank forever. And I'll probably never use them again. So that's like very different than the views I've had like 10 years ago on Pokemon. Is just like these little digital pieces of information just hold specific memories in my life, which is, I guess, why I care about the game so much.
Memories. The memories. Memories are very valuable. This is a spicy question. Spicy. Spicy.
Oh, spicy.
Would you still be playing Pokemon if you weren't a content creator? Like the last few years? Ella, would you still be playing?
Yeah, because I think so, because I went back to Pokemon Gen 6 out of pure curiosity at that time, and I know a lot of people don't like Gen 6, but to me it was just such a blast, like seeing everything on that 3DS, like being able to change your outfits, or the... Okay, that's very stereotypical, probably.
No, the outfit is rad.
I loved that, and I loved the cities were so nice. Like I loved the themes and the music, and it was just such a chill game. And I really got into shiny hunting as well, like before I even knew what Twitch was. So I've had a lot of fun with it, and I think that's why I always will play the new Pokemon game that is gonna come out. I'm also very invested in Pokemon Go, playing a lot. So I think I would definitely play it still, even if I wouldn't have done content about it. So, for sure.
Jan, would you still be playing Pokemon if you were not a content creator right now?
So, the reason I enjoy Pokemon is like very specific. I enjoy video games for very specific reasons, and that's like incremental improvement, right? It's something that I got like from StarCraft 2, and I'm probably never gonna get out of my system. Is like that process of playing something and then losing, and then analyzing what you did wrong, and then doing it again, right? Is extremely fun for me. It's what brings me the most joy. Pretty much, it's the reason I enjoy cooking. It's the reason I enjoy sport. It's right, or like lifting. It's the reason I enjoy anything in life, right? Pretty much. And so the thing with the challenge runs is I used to just do them on like commute while I like commuting, because it would be like a mobile game that would like appeal to my childhood and scratch that itch, right? But the thing is, the reason I can do these like pretty elaborate runs nowadays is because I have all the time to sink into it, because I'm also doing content creation at the same time, right? So I think I would probably be scratching that itch with other games, like some sort of competitive game. I don't know, maybe it'd be Smash Bros, maybe it'd be League of Legends or Rocket League or something, rather than Pokemon. But because I can combine it with content creation, that's like the perfect storm for me.
You know, for me, that's a really tough question. Would I still be playing? You know, I don't really know if I would be playing that much. Like, I feel like if anything, maybe I would fall into the Let's Go squad. Like, maybe that would be like how I would come back. Like, because I feel like with content creation, that's how I know the people around me that are also like playing, like that common link. And you know, I got back into it by finding out like the Mac and the emulation, all of that, but I don't know if that would have prompted me to buy a 3DS, you know, like, I feel like it would have been like a cool thing for a few weeks, and then like, I don't know if I would have gone back to it, which is like kind of sad to think about. I would definitely have done Pokemon Go. Maybe that would have sparked something, but, I don't know. I honestly don't, if so, it would definitely be a lot less, which is kind of crazy to think. John, would you still be playing Pokemon? I mean, I know we all know your answer. Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a constant in my life. It really didn't matter what else I did. I don't know. I've never really been super into games, which has always been kind of tough. Like, you know, there's always with Twitter right now, like, these kids who only play Pokemon. I didn't only play Pokemon, but like, of all the games similar, there wasn't really much else. Everything was just kind of what other people are doing, or, you know, just, I don't know. I had a variety of different interests. I'd probably playing like 2K with a friend or whatever, just trying to make Halo still work. But Pokemon, I mean, I'd get every new game because I would be excited. I'd want to see the new Pokemon. I think I would just not know what's in the game, which would get me so excited for every release. And I think I'd enjoy the initial playthrough even more if I didn't create content. But creating content allows me to, I think, make sure I enjoy it every day I do play, because I can do something different. I wouldn't be playing Pokemon near as much as I do, but especially with Go, like my dad and my uncle play Pokemon Go as much, if not more, than I do, and they never got super into Pokemon beyond like Gen 1. So it's just the thing that I think would always be around me regardless.
Steve?
So I got into it's like a weird question because I think of the time before like I made money off content creation. So like I like for the podcast I did that for 4 years. Well, the podcast is 9 years old this month, and then for the first 4 years until I even did like a Kickstarter for it, I didn't make a penny. In fact, I was like losing money, like paying for website hosting and podcast hosting and upgrading my gear. So like I think the answer is yes. I would like continue playing Pokemon. But like once I started, I guess, making money on it, I felt like I needed to know. I felt like I needed to like not know more than people, but like provide a higher quality product. If that makes sense. Like, hey, if we're paying you in some aspect, you either have to be like really entertaining or really knowledgeable. So I felt like I needed to bump that up. So I got more invested in Pokemon. But like, even if I wasn't making any podcast or any Twitch stream, I think the answer is yes. Whether like it's video games or the anime or even like the trading card game. Like I played the trading card game competitively for 3.5 years, and every weekend would be like driving to a different city to compete in a tournament, or even driving across the United States to compete into like a regionals. Like that was just another thing I did with like friends, and that was just like my life, and that really didn't revolve around content creation, right? Because I wasn't going to like a TCG tournament and like streaming my match. I was just playing to play, and that like that filled a competitive void I had at that time, which I no longer have, I don't think. I don't want to sit across the table from anyone anymore.
I think it's interesting for sure. I think I'm the only one here who is doing content creation full time, right? I think so,
gray area
yeah.
for me, but yeah.
I still go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I work full time and I do content creation part time, which is why I can surely say that I would still play the games, because I have the freedom at the moment to, since my salary is coming from my full-time job, I can basically play the games that I really feel like playing. And I always feel like playing when a new Pokemon game comes out, or even like sometimes refreshing the old ones. So it's interesting.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So keeping the topic with content creation, we talked about our favorite memories from when we were younger. What is your favorite memory of Pokemon while streaming or recording or something related to content? Ella, you want to answer?
No, I have to think about it. There's a couple.
So you look like you're like jumping out of your seat. Jan, do you have one?
It probably has to be beating the Blue Kaizo Nuzlocke after 49 attempts and 4 fails in the Elite Four. It would have to be that, I think.
Holy moly. For me, it's definitely cut their Pokemon stuff on stream, like revealing cut their Pokemon and like counting down the last 30 minutes, like just seeing everyone be so excited and like seeing a bunch of people rally around something, just it just warmed my heart so much. Like season 3, season 2, like it was insane. Like seeing within 3 minutes of the reveal stream, we got to 300 people. That's like that is batshit crazy to me. John, favorite memory?
Yeah, that one's more difficult. It's definitely not streaming. I mean, I've been doing this, like when I try to think of how long I've been doing this, I kind of think, so how long has my relationship been? Then like a few months shorter. So like my favorite thing with Pokemon is just kind of thinking about what I was doing in my life. And I feel like depending on how new people are, you really find out when Pokemon switches consoles, it's like a brand new chapter in a book of this whole online place. You'll see so many people leave, so many people come. I mean, look at me. I'm very new to the whole Twitch streaming side of things. Hopefully I stick around for a bit, but I'm brand new here, and a lot of old faces leave. People pop out of nowhere. And just, I think thinking back to really the first era when I had no thought of ever making money, I didn't you know, I remember my first videos, I was recording with like an iPod Touch, like aimed at my DS, trying to do Wi-Fi battles in 2 parts. So it was just the love of that. And I think if I had to boil it down to one thing, Hayden did the first, or at least the first one that was popular, randomizer, just playthrough ever of Emerald. And me and my girlfriend Nikki actually did a Soul Link against each other a little bit after, and we were both still in high school. And it's just one of those memories I think back, and it was really, really special. So I think that's less about like the content, more just the memory and just how, you know, nice that was.
Mine's easy. Like the answer is like the last stream I had before my wedding. I was playing Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, and I was just saying like, okay, I'm gonna be gone for like a week and a half because I'm getting married, and just everyone being there saying extremely nice and way too nice things to me. And I just couldn't keep up or rechat, and I just kind of had to end stream before I started bawling. But that was like my favorite, I think, on stream / Pokemon memory. I don't even know what I was hunting. I think it was like a shiny seal or something dumb. But yeah, just remembering like everyone saying just amazing things, and I was like, I have to end stream and go to bed.
I'm gonna cry.
That's beautiful.
Cafe
think-
Ella.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I feel like my entire time Pokemon I've been nothing but experiencing extremely much support, and there's still people in my stream that are sticking around from the Pokemon days, even though I'm not actively streaming as much Pokemon at the moment. And that is absolutely mind-blowing to me and wonderful. I think there's a meme in my channel about Shiny Mareep. It took me a while to find it in Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. It took me like, I think overall 24,000 encounters or so, which is not a lot compared to other hunts. Like there's people who have crazy, like over 50k encounters for some shinies, but for me that was like my first full odds hunt, and
How'd that feel?
I remember getting it, and I freaked out. I started crying. It was crazy. But overall, yeah, the people that I met, there's some extremely important people in my life that I only found because I was streaming Pokemon at that time, and I could not imagine my life without them. So that's, yeah, my best memory. All the memories.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get some feels in the chat. Oh my goodness. Dude, also just all the conventions, getting to actually like meet everyone and stuff. Guys, it was me, Elliot, Ella, I forget who else was there, like, because there were like a couple occasions. Like when we had Zant, when we had Cisco and Co. It was just so much fun, man. Ella, we have to do that again. Meetup. We need to do meetup.
No, we do. We do have to. I mean, TwitchCon is soon, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll see you there, but we have to do another Pokemon Go day in the city, maybe. That would be so nice.
So, shifting gears, if you could personally recommend a Pokemon game to someone that has never played a Pokemon game before, someone that maybe just like owns a Switch, maybe plays Smash, like not related to content, just wants to sit down, play a game. If you're gonna pick a game, I want to start off rapid fire. Steve.
X and Y.
John.
X and Y.
John.
I'd say let's go.
I'll be that guy and say Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Ella?
I would also go with Let's Go.
Well, I feel like Let's Go makes the most.
Close.
Let's Go makes like logical sense.
Yeah.
That's logically sound. Heart Gold is like kind of like a risk. I feel like recommending that. It's like if they get into it, then they'll be like into it. But if they're like put off by it, then that would suck. X and Y is also a really good beginner game. So the X and Y folks, why would you guys say X and Y? I forgot who
You
said
can
it,
start.
so.
I would say X and Y because it teach. I know a lot of people will say like don't like Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon because it's way too handholdy. And I don't actually fault it for that because I think like every Pokemon game is somebody's Pokemon game, and I think with like 800 Pokemon when that game came out, and I just recently played Temtem, and it actually frustrated me in the sense of like I didn't know what the thing I was looking at, what type it was, or what move I should use against it, or like I didn't know what like I didn't want to look at a giant type chart to understand like how to best optimize this kind of game. So, and that game only has like 100 Temtem in it, and it's very, very similar to Pokemon if you don't know what Temtem is. So like it gave me a newfound respect for Sun and Moon. I just know that like while Sun and Moon is handholdy, and I think that's good for people who need that, I think there are a lot of gamers that they want to get into the game as fast as possible. And so like getting introduced with story isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there are some people that just like they don't want story. They want to know if they like the gameplay first before they're invested in said story. And I think X and Y does a really good job of giving you the gameplay before they give you the story. Whereas like Sun and Moon is kind of reversed on that. So that's kind of why X and Y. I also think the music and how like the gyms are presented in a very like cinematic way helps draw people in. My second option would be Let's Go, of course, because I think Let's Go is also a really good game, but those are my reasons for Gen 6.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Let's Go would also be a good recommendation. I think X and Y also has the benefit of having a lot of familiar faces in the sense that like maybe you've never played a Pokemon game, but you've seen Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and like Charmander, right? And you get to pick those, and you get to see like a Pidgey and everything. The regional dex is very well constructed around like a mix of familiarity and new stuff, and I think yeah, the game's very approachable for sure.
All right, let's go, people. Not literally. Let's go, people. Let's go, chop chop.
I mean, for me, Let's Go, there's a lot of criticisms towards it. And I mean, I think most of the people, lobbying the criticisms, like the game isn't for them or us. It's a game for new players. It's the most enjoyable Pokemon experience, I think, one time through. And if someone's going to enjoy Pokemon, that's going to be the game that gets them into it. And, some people might not want to play another one, but to really learn the mechanics, learn how this game is, then you can get, into it and go to like a Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I want to play as much as possible, or, like every generation has something different to offer. But I think just having that nice experience, not hating life, going through the caves, the grass, all these like little improvements to make life a little bit easier. And then, I think that's a good way to figure out, is this really a game for me?
I love the Let's Go games. The only reason I'd be just slightly hesitant to recommend it over X and Y by default is just because I know some people just don't like motion control, whether that's like a personal preference or like an accessibility preference, like their hands are maybe too shaky or whatnot. So like if I know the person and I know they like don't mind motion control, it's an easy recommend. It's just that's why I just blanket like X and Y doesn't have. I like the motion control personally, but I know some people can't handle
Actually, if I may, I just actually thought of something. Maybe the recommendation should be get an emulator and Fire Red Leaf Green on your phone.
That's a pretty solid one.
Because like everyone has a phone, right? So you wouldn't even have to have them buy like hardware or whatever, and they could like play it on the go and just see if they like it.
Interesting.
I think Let's Go is a very, very nice modern approach of our Gen 1 experience. Just like really nice and polished. I really love how Gen 1 was basically appreciated again by Let's Go, but a completely different experience. I really love that, and I love to go through all the places again that I loved so much as a kid, which is why I hope there are going to be more Let's Go games. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but I really like them. The only issue that I think about when recommending Let's Go, I don't know if that person would be inclined to play the classic Pokemon playstyle, which is, basically the 2D perspective and more like, I guess, no overboard Pokemon. So I guess it would be a little bit of a different experience for them if they tried another game. So X and Y would be perfect for that. But I still think Let's Go is fantastic, and the Switch is a fantastic console too. Really like the emulator idea as well, though. At least if you have an Android phone. I don't think there's any on Apple. So
Yeah, good point.
yeah,
All right.
because those are really good too. Leaf
True.
Green and Fire Red.
Same question. Worst first game to play. Do not play this as your first game. Ella, start with you. Go the other way.
That's difficult. Gen 1, actually. Don't play Gen 1 as your first game. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it's just, in terms of usability, in terms of like game mechanics, just just really old, and there's just nicer games to play. I know this is our original experience, but I don't think if you don't have the nostalgia of that game, I don't think anyone nowadays would actually like it that much. To be
I
honest.
don't know if Gen 1 holds up like a Super Mario Brothers. Like I feel like you can go back to that game even though it's like 16.
Like the only way we like it is because we played it as kids, and we have like all these beautiful childhood memories. But imagine a person doesn't have that one, so I think Gen 1 is not great to play.
Okay.
Right away.
Follow-up
think-
question is: would anyone here not say Gen 1? Would everyone say
Me,
Gen 1?
I'd have a different choice, which might be a little weird because it would be my favorite generation, but I'd say Gen 4.
I was gonna
It's-
say Diamond and Pearl because
There's just so many things wrong with it, and like in all the evolutions, like you're never gonna figure out Electivire. Like some of the cool, like Gen 4 has some of the worst. It's my favorite gen. Platinum's my favorite game. I don't want to hear it, Josh, but like no one gets excited about a Badoo for any. You're never gonna figure out the honey Pokemon. Like there's only like what 2 fire type. There's just so many things that would be
that
tough.
mountain like a million times.
Yeah, you get
You're
confused.
gonna give someone a Nintendo
like that map
DS
design.
with Pokemon Platinum and then a freaking Game Boy with Pokemon Red, and you're gonna be like, Red's a better starter game?
Yeah, because they'll figure it out.
Platinum's
I don't
good.
agree.
Platinum's like significantly better than Diamond and Pearl. but
Platinum,
Diamond
yes.
and Pearl, Diamond and Pearl is like really sluggish and really slow, and like
Yeah, the slowness of it, I think, is
it
really.
takes like 30 years to knock out a Pokemon because the HP bar goes down so slow.
Yeah.
I guess it is a weird like in between child like Frankenstein of like the advancements of like Gen 5 or Gen 6 and like the kind of snappy old 2D-ness of like the Game Boy Advance games, and it's like in the middle where it's like not either really, so it's really hard to recommend. I agree with that.
I actually made a video plug top 10 reasons Platinum is better than Diamond and Pearl. There are a lot of like little things like
Oh my
little
God,
things
yeah.
that you wouldn't think about, which by the way I made that video with Mystic Umbreon, fellow Elite 4 member. Woo. And one of them was actually like the buildings that are in between routes?
Mhm.
I think it's that you could like bike between them now. Like there's all these like little there's a lot of little things that you wouldn't think of that Platinum did add that made it faster. And then there are things that we all know, like surf speed and that kind of stuff. But like
30 HMs to get to the Elite Four.
okay, that sucked. That sucked. But I'm just saying, Pokemon Renegade Platinum, that game is the shit though. It gets rid of everything,
Again, yeah.
Although it's not Platinum.
Can I
I w-
go back? Oh, sorry. No, you go first.
I was just gonna say I probably wouldn't recommend Renegade Platinum as your first Pokemon game,
Listen, okay? This is
or
good
something
stuff.
like Dark Rising or something.
Oh, what were you saying?
It's like, hey, check out this game.
I just wanted to go back to which games we would actually recommend as first Pokemon game, not recommend. But I wonder why no one said why we didn't talk about Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby.
I was gonna say actually, those are probably some of my favorite games.
I think it's a quite solid game as well.
I think the thing I hate that they're like a game right before Omega. This is a petty reason maybe. There's a game right
Okay.
before Omega Ruby, and there's a game right after Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but that both have character customization. And for whatever reason, they didn't do it. And I feel like that's like my wife's black, so like having a female black character in a game is
Yeah.
like really important to her. So it's
Yeah.
I mean, like as a white dude, like it doesn't matter because every character's a white dude.
No, that
so,
makes
like,
complete sense.
Yeah, it literally never mattered to us ever. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't get why they got rid of that. Like,
Yeah, I wonder why they
one of
didn't
my
keep that up too. Because
frustrating
once
things
they
about
had it in X and Y, why didn't they leave it in?
If I had to guess, I would say it's a decision to keep it to like, because it's a remake, to keep it as close to like the Ruby Sapphire experience as possible, right? To only play as those main characters.
But honestly, like the
would be my
representation reasons
guess. Yeah, I
would be
know. I
way
agree.
more important.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
all right, total tangent rapid fire question then. Okay, we're gonna start with John and then go clockwise.
Okay.
Gen 4 remakes. They're coming out, baby. They're coming out. Let's say next year they're coming out. Will there be
Okay.
character customization if they keep the normal characters? John, yes or no?
I don't even want to answer. I'm just gonna be sad, man. I don't know.
All right, John's answer is sad. I say yes. They're gonna do it. John,
I don't think they're gonna do it.
you don't think?
Nope.
Ella?
Not sure.
Oh shit. Steve?
I would say they have to. I feel like as excited as people are for Gen 4 remakes, because that's like all you hear about on the internet. I feel like
Yeah.
that's like the easiest thing that can mess up is the like.
I
if
hope they
were
do
to
it.
include
I have an objective
HMs.
reason why they will. Let's Go
They will mess
Pikachu
it
and
up?
Eevee remakes, and they have customization.
Okay.
Bang the
Okay,
gavel.
You're right. You're right.
Yep.
You're right.
That's, I hope. I mean, I hope they have customization. I just think like as excited as people are for remakes, I feel like they have like a lot. Like if HMs are back in that game, I don't know if I would even want to go through it.
Honestly,
Yeah.
they
There's no way.
have
If in Let's Go they didn't have HMs, then they're not gonna have HMs.
I mean, I hope. I definitely hope. But they did some weird decision making in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, like that one stupid path where you always have to have Rock Smash no matter what to like go back and forth between.
Yes,
is
I know what
super
you're talking about.
frustrating. Like, why are the rocks regenerating? Just like open the path. Just
Yeah.
let me go back.
Never, ever, ever play Crystal Kaizo. That game is gonna drive you insane. You need every HM for every route, and it has a way of only revealing it at the end of the route. That's like, it's brilliant design, in its very own way. As SHF Sinister Hooded Figure is incredible at making the most annoying routes you could possibly imagine. It's actually like a skill of his, and it shows very well.
I enjoyed not having to teach my Pokemon moves that are so tedious to forget. Like you have to go to the attack dudes and like it's gonna be just convenient. I think it's just like a relic of times because they had to restrict the area where you could go, and I think they can solve that in like nicer ways now, actually. So I think it was just an easy way to guide the player through the game back then, and nowadays they can do a lot of different things with that. So
Yeah. All right, we have one more question that I'm going to go around the horn. And after that, guys, we'll be answering your guys' questions on Twitter. Make sure you guys tweet us at Elite4TV and use the hashtag IP. Make sure you do both of those things. And you can ask us questions. We'll answer them on stream as long as they're appropriate and all that kind of good stuff. So go ahead and fire away. Fire away. So last question. We talked about our Pokemon journeys, how it's affected our lives, all that kind of stuff. Looking forward, how much longer do you think you will play Pokemon? Is it going to be, maybe after Sword and Shield, we'll see what happens? Is it going to be like 10 years from now? Is it going to be, until you don't have time anymore? Is it until you die? Like, when are we playing until? Who wants to lead this one off? I'm throwing it up in the air.
I can lead it. I will probably continue playing Pokemon forever, whether that's main series or not main series or TCG or like anything else they put out. Like I said earlier, when 2011 to 2014, I played the TCG competitively. So like my Black and White experience was playing through Black and White, seeing the credits and not really going back, but then just playing the TCG and playing like spin-off games. So like I don't necessarily like need main series games to be a drive for me. Like if Sword and Shield was like the last main series, but then they continued making, I don't know, like Pokemon Shuffle or Pokemon Quest, like I would continue playing those and be pretty satisfied. I don't know if like Pokemon Go was like the only game, I would be still pretty satisfied with Pokemon as a whole.
Yeah. John?
I mean, especially forget how much I like the games. I mean, it might get to a point where I don't want to buy consoles. The fact that they're putting so much on the phone, like, some people dislike phone games. I like having something to do if I'm, just bored, like on a bus, walking around, whatever it may be. Masters, I mean, hopefully it's good, but even if that game's decent, I'm going to put too many hours into it. And if they're doing that, as long as phones are around, as long as I'm around, I imagine at the very least I'll be playing those.
Quick derail. Have you guys ever fallen into like a really bad mobile gacha game hole? Yes, I lost an entire summer to fucking Clicker Heroes. Game ate me up. Oh my god. Some of these mobile games are like just literal Skinner boxes. It's so crazy. How they exploit like the reward system. I think it's super insane.
I think we talked about it, when we were at the park together. I'm actually playing a lot of Pocket Camp at the moment. I don't spend money on it yet, but I'm kind of scared. It's so nice. I love Pocket Camp so much. And obviously Pokemon Go, I don't want to know how much money I spent on Pokemon Go. Like, I don't want to know. It's legit. I think I might have already spent like, I don't even want to say it.
A lot. I think I'm at like $400 in Go.
Yeah.
I've made a promise to myself that I'm only going to gym grind this year. I spent like maybe $60 last year, which is not that bad.
That's not that bad.
Yeah. So gyms this year,
Okay.
So for me, I don't know if I would say I would be playing Pokemon like forever, but I think it'll be a very long time. Like I would say at least another 5 to 10 years. I think the only thing that would stop me is just time. That's all it is. Like if I end up in 10 years from now working 40 hours a week and having like 2 kids or something, like I may not have a lot of time to sit down and like play things, I think you can always make time for anything that you want, but I think definitely something that will happen though is that I will pass Pokemon down to my my family, you know what I mean? Like no matter what. Obviously I wouldn't force my kids to like Pokemon, but I would want to expose them to it, and I would cram it down their throats as much as I could until they.
You want dinner tonight? Well, guess you're beating Brock first.
You have to complete this Pokemon challenge,
PC is gonna raise his kids like beating Nuzlocke. Like, you're not gonna.
5 Pokemon lost to that gym leader? Well, you're going to bed hungry, buddy. I'm sorry.
We're gonna show this clip to our kids, 15 years from now, whatever.
Oh my god.
You're not playing enough Pokemon. But I want to play as long as I possibly can. Pokemon's a big part of my life, and
just get a puppy. I'm just kidding. I think so too. I think I'm gonna play as long as I have time for it. Which, I mean, I'm already working full time now, and I still make time for it. So I think it's looking kind of good. I think I'm gonna play it for a very long time still, as long as they keep it interesting, which is why I'm never opposed to the franchise changing, because I think it's very important to, rediscover the franchise, and I like the progress. I know there's people who don't like the franchise changing at all, but I'm actually very excited about
change.
Yeah, right.
I think I feel like at this point I'm so far down the rabbit hole that even if I got a job that was incredibly time consuming, or if I had a major shift in my content where I don't know, Temtem blows up or some stupid stuff, right? I would always at least do a hardcore Nuzlocke of the new game when it releases. That would always be a constant in my life, no matter what. And if there's a phone game, then I'll probably check it out at some point, right? I think that's the minimum bar that will always be in my life. I feel at this point, because there's so many memories and nostalgia and feelings associated with the franchise that I don't think I could just completely ignore a new release or something.
Yeah.
Until I re-download Heroes. Clicker Heroes 2 was on sale on Steam, and I didn't buy it.
Oh my goodness.
Proud of you.
Jesus. Rich, did we start with John? Did we go to Steve?
Yeah.
Got
Hold
it.
on first. I don't remember what I said.
Yeah, I was gonna say I forgot. We're going in a circle and then we lost we turned into like a pentagon or something. So all right, guys, send us some Twitter questions. We already have we have a handful. So thank you guys so much.
Sorry.
You want to talk about Digimon? Go ahead, man.
No.
Me too.
I wanted to ask. I had one question actually for everyone.
Yeah, shoot.
What was your first encounter or first experience with like encountering online Pokemon content creation? Like, what was your first like YouTube channel or like experience you had that you watched where like, oh, this is really cool, I want to do that?
The King Nappy.
Oh boy.
Because-
I'll move quickly from that.
All right.
Pokemon.
Mine. So I mean, I wanted to get
Hoodlum Scrafty.
into-
Also, Ike, Hoodlum Callum. That boy.
Man. Yeah, and I think back. I remember Callum. when
Platinum
we were at
Egglock.
Yeah. Oof.
That shit was
So-
fire.
I didn't know people who played Pokemon, and I wanted to get into the community, which was probably a terrible idea because I met more people that dislike Pokemon than like Pokemon as I got into the competitive community. But you know, things happen, and I decided to make a website, which is why I have a terrible name for a channel. I didn't think it was going to last this long. I just wanted a quick name so I could start working on a website. I was excited, so I never got into making videos because I wanted to make videos where I saw a creator. I just wanted to try to like meet new people and get people over to the site. But as time went on, someone asked me to be in like a tournament. I won like a Wi-Fi Ubers battle, and then I found like Hayden and Magnitude, you know, Shofu way back in the day when he was just a battler, and just all of Pokemoshpit, like the old school Pokemoshpit days. And I really, really looked up to them. I thought that would be, if I did anything, I want to get 1,000 subs, make it into Pokemoshpit. Nothing else matters. That would be the coolest thing. So I was really, really big into the 4th gen competitive days.
Fun fact.
So for
Pulse,
me-
I was gonna say
sorry.
Pulse Effects was part of the 4th gen VGC scene, or not VGC, but just competitive battling.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's so funny. Jan?
For me, my first encounter was actually my first encounter with YouTube in general. It was 2006, Maryland's Pokemon Diamond walkthrough. That was my first encounter with Pokemon content creation, and like at that moment, I knew, oh shit, this is what I want to do. This is fucking cool. And I did upload YouTube videos when I was like 13, 14 of me playing Pokemon. And on one hand, I'm like extremely happy that there's no existing copy of those.
Mhm.
No.
But on the other hand, I would be incredibly interested. For like the longest time, I was like, yeah, I'm glad this stuff is gone. Kind of like my like, there's like an old like German social media site that doesn't exist anymore. And for the longest time, I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad nobody's ever gonna see these like posts that I made when I was 13. But nowadays, I'm just like, I kind of do want to see it now. I'm like very morbidly curious. Very morbidly curious about this. Yeah.
Ella?
It's really funny because I have started Pokemon content creation without ever watching a Pokemon content creator before. I was very new to Twitch. I didn't know anyone. I always knew like I was fascinated by gaming YouTube. I wouldn't watch any Pokemon YouTubers there. And when I started on Twitch, I would first try out with like a couple of variety games like Stardew Valley and Skyrim and all these things. And at some point I was like, actually, I would love to play Pokemon. And I saved up for a capture card. It took me like, I don't know, 6 months or so into streaming to actually save up for one. And I got it and I started to play Pokemon. And I think the second stream I ever did was Shady Penguin raiding me. And I had no idea who he was. And it was so embarrassing. And I figured it out afterwards, like that he was a really big YouTuber. And I was like, oh my god. And then I kind of started to, get a little bit more active and starting to actually, watch people. More on Twitch, though, than on YouTube, actually. And I got like, I don't know, I was super lucky to just get the support from a couple of very, very lovely Pokemon YouTubers. Ace Trainer Liam being one of them. And he would just support my channel so much. And I was just in awe. And I would obviously like go to their streams and watch those on Twitch more often. But I don't even have like a first exposure. I just had that one really embarrassing raid from Shady Penguin. And
That's a great first encounter.
Yeah, and you know, he recognized me at TwitchCon last year. Like I didn't know that he knew who I was, and I was like saying hello, and he's like the nicest dude. And we were always talking when we see each other at conventions, and I'm just super lucky. And yeah, it was I don't want to think about it because I'm getting very, very awkward about it. So yeah.
Steve.
For me, I never really fell into YouTube at all. So I remember like it was right in college where Diamond and Pearl came out, or the end of high school, and I started looking up websites, and I found Cerebi, and I found Maryland, and I found Bulbapedia. So those were like 3 websites I kind of jumped back through. I didn't really think of like any of those as content creators, right? I just thought of them as like, oh, these are like news websites that provide information and stuff. I didn't realize at the time that like Maryland actually had like a YouTube page. I just read his walkthroughs on like Maryland.com. And then when I discovered podcasts, the first podcast I think I ever listened to was like Radio Free Nintendo, which they ended up talking about Pokemon, and then that got me into other podcasts, that just general gaming podcasts. And then when I realized that most general gaming podcasts kind of skipped over Pokemon, I just typed Pokemon into like my podcast app, and I found I had to look it up because they're no longer a podcast, but it was called the Palette Tribune. Originally called Pokemon Times, but it was a Pokemon podcast. But by the time I discovered it, they were only doing like 1 or 2 episodes a month, and I really wanted like weekly content. I found another podcast called Pokemon Monday back then, which was actually I think owned by Games Radar, I want to say, but they also stopped after like 30 episodes. So that actually, like, those 2 podcasts kind of stopping or not providing weekly content was like my drive to provide weekly content, because I didn't have that for me. So I figured other people probably wanted a Pokemon podcast, and also no one owned PokemonPodcast.com, so I bought pretty good SEO on that.
Smart man. Very good. All right. Let's move on to some Twitter questions. You guys can still send them in. Thank you guys, everyone that has sent in questions. Appreciate it. First question comes from Shane. I is awesome in the chat. And he asks, I started in 5th gen. Do you still feel like you can get the same growing up experience even if you're late to the party? Anyone want to take this one?
It's so hard to answer to get that perspective. I think one thing that I think about a lot is one of the reasons that like Gen 1 was like fascinating and that it worked so well was like the ubiquitousness, is that a word? Ubiquity of the Pokemon franchise in that time, right? The anime was on like all the time. Everyone talked about it. There was Pokemon merchandise everywhere. Like the franchise was so huge. Everyone had the trading cards. Everyone had the games. So many people were playing it. And part of why the games were so successful is like the connectivity, right? The reason you can't get all the starters in a game or there's version exclusives is to force players to connect with each other, right? And that's what drove it up so much. And I think there's like a certain threshold of people that have to play the game for it to be successful, right? I don't know how much that's still a thing nowadays, for kids at least, right? I think if you're like an adult and you like Nintendo games, you'd like to get into it, then it's pretty fun. And I've seen people do it for sure that I've had fun with it. I remember my ex-girlfriend got into Pokemon when we were together when I started streaming and stuff, and it was pretty fun for her, but it's definitely a very different landscape now, I think.
I think my like slightly different perspective there is I remember when I really got back into things. I thought about, or I think about this a good amount. You know, the 5th generation games, a lot of the people that I knew, like the 4th gen battlers, really hated it because of all these changes. But the changes in these games was a soft reboot of the franchise. So many Pokemon were just, you know, like kind of the new version of that, like Seismitoad, the new Poliwrath, and we have, you know, Swoobat's new Golbat, you know, Throw Sock, a new Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and you know, I saw, for me, I didn't know, you know, like, hey, if I was going to enjoy it, if I was going to be super excited, but I noticed like the cards got more popular and I was seeing them more often. And because, you know, like my family knew that I liked Pokemon, every time there was any small child they met, they're like, oh, like, this kid's playing Pokemon, like something like that. Great. We don't need to talk about this with every person who likes Pokemon. But I definitely noticed that there was a whole new generation. And you know, I whenever people are talk about their favorite gens, there's so many younger people in the chat that's like, man, I really love Gen 5. Why do people hate it so much? The reason is so many new people got into Gen 5, and a lot of the older people, it wasn't a game for them. So I think it depends on how they make new games moving forward. Gen 5 definitely was, you know, designed to bring in a bunch of new people. I don't know how Sword and Shield will be. You know, we'll have to see how that really plays, but there's definitely different generations, and I think a lot of the time it's, you know, some of the games on the new console, they're hoping to bring in a whole new fan base. So it really just it depends on, you know, what game. But Gen 5 might have been the last one. As I mean, it was only Generation 5 games or Pokemon. There was over 150 plus of them, right? That was really special. I think X and Y, I think a lot of people really love, but it'd be kind of weird to get into a game and have 70 new things. But I guess everything would be new if you're new. So that's just, you know, my thoughts.
I think specific to this question, by the way, everyone in call, I'm putting screenshots in the group chat. If you guys want to see the exact question. So in terms of getting the same growing up experience, I think no one's going to get the same experience, just generationally speaking. Like, you're going to get like an experience that's unique to Gen 5. Because, you know, each generation isn't just the games, right? You know, it's like kind of what Jan was saying, like in terms of the merchandise. There's, you know, the anime, there's the TCG, there's a lot of cultural associations with each generation. So you're never gonna get like the same one, but you're gonna get some experiences growing up with Gen 5 that are different from someone that did you know, played Gen 4 or played Gen 1. It doesn't make your experience more invalid or anything, but it is going to be different, I think, you know, just by the nature of it.
I think something I've always found with franchises going back to older games is really that sometimes you would just give up some features of usability. Like taking another franchise, The Elder Scrolls 3 was my favorite PC game growing up, and The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim is really, really good. Now going back to 3 is really hard for me because I have all these convenience features. I have like the better graphics. I have just a lot of things that I really appreciate moving forward. And from a psychological standpoint, it's always harder to go back to something that has less things. I think you can still have fun with them, but I think it's going to be very different than taking a game and improving from there over the years. Then playing a newer game and then going back to an older game. I think it's a very different experience. So I'm pretty sure you can still have fun with it, but it's gonna be a different experience.
I think like anything, you're probably like growing up with Gen 5. I'd imagine you'd be at a pretty like good advantage compared to like previous gens. Like Pokemon exploded during Gen 1, and there was like like you couldn't ignore it. Like that was the thing in the time. So like merchandise and everything was everywhere. And then there was kind of a lull, especially I feel around Gen 3 and Gen 4. But now with like the ease of the internet and like just like apps like Pokemon TV, it's very easy to watch the anime or turn the anime on for, you know, younger kids, or like merchandise is pretty everywhere, whether that's like on Amazon or in Target or Walmart. I think with like anything, it's your growing up experience is going to be unique to your like family and your friends, but like the Pokemon experience is pretty easy to find if you want to seek it out.
Totally. All right, next question we have is from Sweet Lou in the chat. Sweet Lou asks, was there at any point in your life while growing up where you tried to influence your friends and peers into liking video games just as much as you did? I was the one that was convinced. I was not the convincer. I was convinced into doing it, for sure. That's me, man. My friends were like, "You gotta play this." So
I just remember one time. Sorry, I tried to convince one of my friends who I used to play Pokemon with to get into competitive Gen 4, and I think he really didn't like it. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I was more convinced in the games. It's just easy. You mean Pokemon didn't try to convince people, and other games is the other way around. I never really had much knowledge of what was new and coming out. Just like, oh, that's cool. I'll play that.
Yeah. Evella?
Sorry, cutting you off.
No, it's fine. I've convinced plenty of people to try to get into like the trading card game, or I convinced a couple coworkers to pick up X and Y, and even like the limited edition Yveltal and Xerneas 3DS, because they didn't have a 3DS, and that just happened to come out and it looked cool. And I told them if they didn't like it, those 3DSs would have really good resale value, and they did. But yeah, I don't know. I sometimes like not every game is for every person. You would think ideally Pokemon should be for everyone, but you know, everyone's life is so different. But yeah, I've definitely done the convincing. I don't know if successfully is a good word to use for that though.
I've definitely been passively influenced a lot by my brothers growing up, so I was the one convinced. But later on with Gen 6, I remember that I was the driving power behind organizing that day when the game comes out and doing that gaming evening and that launch day, and even going to Pokemon Day. That was like a tour in Germany where they would just have like some events and stuff going on, like some battle events, and I wanted to go there. And so yeah, I think I was then a convincing force for my friends. But since everyone was, you know, quite into games anyway, it was not that hard. So
it's great. Next question we have from Galactic Artist Muffin, who asks, what do you think of Pokemon Conquest? Does anyone have any thoughts?
I have never played it.
I also have never played it.
I got it on launch day and played 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes of it. I plan to go through it. It's just sometimes games come out at the wrong time in life.
Yep.
Like I felt that with Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire when I turned it on and there was no custom character creation, which I mentioned earlier that bothered me. It was also probably wrong time in life for me when that game came out. So.
Right. Sorry, Galactic Arts Muffin. We have another question from Shane, as awesome. Was your family open to you playing Pokemon, or did they find it odd? Anyone want to take this? If not, I got it. So, my family, it wasn't necessarily Pokemon specifically. I definitely relate to John, Pokemon situation where, like, it's not like they hated me playing video games. It's that they wanted me to be outside a lot. It's like, you know, no video games after this or until this time, like, because you got to go outside. Like, they don't want you glued to your screen, blah, blah, blah. And even up until the last, like, 2 or 3 years ago, until I started making money off of this, my parents were very, like, you're a hermit, you know, you're locking yourself in, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, listen, you don't understand, man. You don't understand.
Not just a face, Mom.
Yeah, right? But I think just, you know, there's that generational gap in terms of just thinking that Pokemon's like this odd thing. Oh my god, John has a Pokemon.
I do.
That's very cute.
Wow. But yeah, no, that's that for me pretty much. I think, you know, it was just Pokemon just seemed weird, but not in like a they just didn't get it. Weird, you know. Anyone else have
I think
family?
I think
Family
it
stuff?
was. I feel like for me it was like so normal at the time that every kid was into Pokemon. All the kids I hung out with were into Pokemon, so I don't think there was anything there. The harder part was explaining to my parents that I did Pokemon content creation to make money, or especially
Yes.
to my grandmas. Like explaining streaming as a career choice to a grandma might be like, I don't know if there's anyone in the world who could do it. Like, there is so much groundwork context that just does not exist for people of that generation. That like, I tried to explain this whole thing. I was like, yes, I play video games on the internet and people watch me and it's like entertaining and they give me money. And I'd go through like this whole spiel, right? And then at the end she just looks at me, she's like, what's the internet again? She's like, okay, I have a radio show, don't worry.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Like, why don't
Yeah,
you say
radio show.
radio show?
There are some people that are like, I work for Amazon. Like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll move on to the next question we have. This is from Delta Gamer. Do you remember the first time you ever defeated the champion?
I do. This is super easy. So I lost to the Elite Four and the champion multiple times as a dumb 10-year-old kid. My Blastoise knew like Bubble Beam, Hydro Pump, Surf, and like Skull Bash, so 3 water type moves, which
Same.
did not make sense. But I was a dumb kid and I thought that Blastoise needed all the water moves possible.
What do you mean?
And the first time I beat the champion, we both I struggled, knocked them out, and then knocked myself out, which doesn't count as winning. I was so excited that I beat him, but then I blacked out because we both fainted at the same time. And then the next time, I think I was able to beat them, but it was probably 20 or 30 tries of just losing, and not having any money but leveling up because you're still going through the steps. But
Yeah, for me it was Cynthia. It was funny. For me, Cynthia was like not the hard part of the game for me at that point in Diamond because like I was stuck for so long at that stupid Psyduck. So like by the time I got to the champion, like it felt like, you know, it was like all of this work, everything like led up to this one point, and it was like I was going like down the hill finally, you know? So it was like it felt like the champion battle was almost more like a reward than a challenge. So that was an interesting feeling. It was fun. Don't have memorable champion stuff, or we got one more question?
I actually got stuck before the champion at Lance and Gen 1. This stupid Gyarados. Me, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? But it's probably because I had 3 water type moves on my Blastoise. Now I know.
I remember. I don't remember my first 2 times, or in Gen 1 or Gen 2. I do remember for Sapphire, first time I beat the champion. This was during my is it called Holy Communion? Right, when you're like the Catholic kids get like when you get like, I don't know, it's like that kind of rite where like everyone
First communion.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that when you're like 8 or 9?
Yes. First.
Yeah.
Communion.
Okay. First communion. So I remember doing that. During like the lunch or dinner or whatever that we had afterwards, I had my Game Boy and I was fighting the Elite Four for the first time, and like 5 other kids standing around me, cheering me on, and I think that's the first very important experience that made me show, oh hey, you know, streaming would probably be pretty enjoyable as well.
Pressure is real.
Influenced me, yeah.
That's great. All right, we got one more question. And this one is from, oh, how do I read that? Wu Chain the Real. I think that's how I say that. Have you played the side games? If yes, what do you think about them? So very broad question. I want to restructure this to be like when we were younger.
Okay.
Did we grow up playing any of the spin-off games?
The only I didn't have an NC. Fortunately, so I never got to play Pokemon Snap, which is very sad. The only side game I played, because I borrowed it from my cousin. It was Pokemon Colosseum, and I thought it was very weird, but I kind of liked it because I really liked Espeon and Umbreon. So I was good with that. It was very different. I was never as much into side games though, mainly because I liked the console.
Right.
For me, it was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Okay. So for me, it was definitely. I didn't play any of the side games until the Mystery Dungeon games, and those those blew my mind. The first one was like really good. I really enjoyed it. I played it through on like a vacation with my parents, and then I was so excited. This was like maybe the most excited I ever was for the Explorers of Time and Darkness to release, and I also played through that one on a vacation. It was so cool as a kid. It was like one of my favorite gaming experiences playing through that game. I replayed it on stream like a year ago. I actually don't think it holds up very well, but at the time it was amazing. It was really good.
I was obsessed with Ranger Shadows of Almia. Oh my god, I played that game at least 2 or 3 times. Like, oh my god, it was so good. Like, something about Shadows of Almia just really hit a sweet spot. Like, Ranger was Shadows of Almia, like, that just hit something special. I also played Coliseum in XD a little bit later, on the Wii. Those were really fun. I remember playing that at my friend's house. Like, I brought my Wii over and we just played for a few hours, multiple sessions. But yeah, Ranger, Shadows of Almia. If you haven't played it, highly recommend it. Try it. You will fuck your bottom screen up so badly, but it is, Ellie, you have an epiphany?
Yeah, I just remembered that I really like the Mystery Dungeon games, actually. I think they're really nice. I really like them. I played the first one on the Game Boy Advance. So...
I really love the Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy. That game was real rad.
The music in that, ooh.
Ooh, the music's really good.
Oh yeah.
I think you also started off with Running Shoes, which was like, I don't remember if that game came out before or after Gold and Silver, but man, you move real fast in that game compared to like Red and Blue.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a lot of, all those beginning like Gen 1 side games like Stadium, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Pinball, TCG game. I really loved all those games. It's probably why I ended up liking Pokemon so much. Like, I had some other games, but I was also terrible at Zelda, but Pokemon Snap, you take pictures. I could figure that out. But also, there's just so much to it. It was fun.
Very good. Just a couple other side tweets. We have a question specifically for John. Hamlet, okay. Danish Prince, asks, why is John, aka Pokemon, so hecking nice? Why are you so hecking nice, man?
Why is he so nice?
Why are you so nice, man?
What's your secret, man?
Start being a dick, dude.
Tell us.
I don't know. I don't have anything. We're talking Pokemon. I don't have any negative things to say right now. This is great. I get to play Pokemon every day.
He's so happy.
And I'll finish off. We got a tweet from JXC, who didn't ask a question but shared a comment. JXC does Pokemon remixes. He tweeted, if it wasn't for Pokemon, I would have never gotten into music at all. I wouldn't have all the friends I've made in the remixing community, who now I consider some of my best friends and look up to a lot. So that's a feels good man way to finish things off. Thank you guys for all your questions. Really appreciate that. So we get to talk with you guys directly. This has been a really good podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining. Of course, guys, remember, if we have people in chat that can shout everyone out. I don't know if we have mods right now. We have Birch or someone, but make sure you guys go and follow Cafe Ella, Pokemon Challenges, Pokemon 7, and Pokemon Cast. Well, I'm gonna get the shadow commands popping.
It was a pleasure. Really nice. I could talk about Pokemon all day, so that's perfect. It's
always so much fun. There we go. Those are all of the... I should do exclamation point Pokemon challenges. God freaking... why is your name so long? There we go. I don't think I typoed anyone. I think that's all good. Guys, go and follow everyone here. They all do lots of awesome Pokemon stuff. It has been a lot of fun. I always love coming out of these podcasts. Like I feel like it's therapeutic, man. You get to just share all your ideas and stuff. Guys are always welcome back on. Of course, this podcast is hosted by the Elite Four. If you guys don't know what the Elite Four is, we are the Pokemon stream team. Check out the link, twitch.tv/team/Elite4. We have a little bit of everything. We have speedruns, we have races, we have shiny hunting, we have everything. I mean, right now we have Pulse Effects. He's live doing a Wonder Trade speedrun. Galactic Ellie and Just Play Pokemon are both doing a Wonder Trade battle right now. We're going to send the raid love over to Galactic Ellie because we haven't gotten to raid him yet, actually, from the podcast. So, we could either be sappy and do "We love you" as the raid message, or we could do "Hello guys, what is up?" So we're gonna do an official poll. Ella, do we do "Hello guys" or do we do "We love you"? We're gonna go around the horn. We're gonna vote.
For what?
The raid message.
Oh, hi.
Hello guys, what is up?
Hi, we love you. No. Hello,
Okay,
what is
actually,
up? Yeah, please.
we could do "Hello guy." We could do "Hello guy, what is up? We love you." We could do a combo.
What is up? And the up has to be capitalized.
"Hello guy, what is up? We love you." There we go. And feel free, guys, to add your love emotes if you're subbed to anyone. Let's see. There we go. Copy paste that. "Hello guy, what is up? We love you." Throw in any love emotes that you may have. There we go. All right, guys, we're gonna send the raid love over to Galactic Ellie. He's doing a multi right now with Just Play Pokemon, another Elite Four member. So check out their awesome Wonder Trade battle they're doing right now. Thank you guys so much. Does anyone in call want to say any last words of wisdom? Anything?
Thank you for listening to our rambles, and we
It's
see
been
you
so much
in our
fun.
streams.
Love you guys. Thank
Follow
you so
me
much.
on Instagram, PChalTV.
Oh my god.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. All right. Oh yeah, these are once a month. Just so you guys know. That's a random thing. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. Go follow PC's Instagram.